What if suffering is life's wake-up call, the alarm clock that keeps beeping until we awaken? Awaken from the nightmares filled with guilt, regret, shame, and depression. Awaken from compulsive negative thinking that fuels stress, anxiety, and worry. Awaken from the mind's illusion of who we are. Hi, my name is David Youngren, and I want to invite you to an event in Escondido on June 21st called Live Your True Self. The event is about regaining wholeness after losing touch with ourselves. It's for people who have heard the alarm clock of life, who struggle to live the life they were meant to live, who have faced some rough terrain in their journey of life, but who are ready to awaken to the wonder of who they are for a life of peace, joy, and purpose. Let me explain it this way. One time, a friend of mine described some of the challenges that a family member was going through. But then she paused for a moment and said, we have all our stuff. In other words, we all have our own suffering in our mind. Our suffering shows up in many different ways. For example, some people struggle with the guilt and insecurity, unforgiveness perhaps, and shame. Others with stress and anxiety and worry, something relating to the future. Sometimes these feelings can be overwhelming, while other times it's just a quiet hum in the background of our minds. So how can we be free from this inner suffering? First of all, we need to know the cause of this suffering of the mind. Otherwise, we treat the symptoms rather than heal or uproot, what caused them. Imagine prescribing painkillers to someone who has headaches because of brain cancer. It may numb the feeling temporarily, but it won't remove the cause. It's the same thing with the human suffering. We resort to all kinds of numbing strategies to not feel this inner mental suffering. But it won't go away, it keeps coming back, so we need to deal with the cause first to end the constant inner torment. So what is the cause of the suffering of the mind, the nagging inner voice in the head that creates so much tension? Well, this suffering is caused by the contrast between what you mentally decided you wanted and the reality unfolding in front of you. What you mentally want and what's happening does not match. You see, your mind has been conditioned since childhood by your experiences and the culture you find yourself in. This created thought patterns with preferences for what you like and don't like. Since you want to relive the good and avoid the pain of the past, your mind creates a reality of what your perfect happy life looks like. Happiness becomes associated with some future reality that your mind now will strive to get. This egoic mind is never quite at peace with what is, never quite present in the now. In other words, it's lost in an illusion of the mind of what happy really should be, or what happiness really looks like. This leads to a flurry of emotions depending on what's happening at any given time. One moment you feel great and on top of the world, but then the other day or other moments your dream of a life happy will actually produce stress and anxiety. You are uncertain and afraid that you are not good enough or lucky enough to create the life that you believe will make you happy. You really want to make sure you are happy in the future, but the past communicates that you are not enough somehow, or that you don't have what it takes anymore. In other words, the failures and the disappointment of the past project themselves onto your future, and that prevents you from truly being happy. You are reliving the past while trying to mentally shape life in the future. You lose yourself in these thoughts and you no longer live in the now. In fact, you have lost touch with your true self. It doesn't mean that you don't have any moments of joy. Of course you do. Achieving some of your dreams can give you a rush of exhilarating satisfaction and joy. To get that job, for example, that you covet, or go on that lavish vacation, or buy that dream house, or find that special relationship, can provide you, obviously, moments of happiness. But sooner or later, all of it leaves you unsatisfied and suffering in your mind, because the mind always desires something to be added. It's never content for very long, never quite at peace within with what is, which creates a tension between reality and what your mind wants. The mind has been conditioned to associate achieving what you desire with happiness. So you always need to find a new passion, a new goal, a new pursuit, something to shoot for that once again will drive you, or I should say give you, that temporary high. Of course, the journey between desire and success is always filled with stress and anxiety and feelings of not being enough. You end up living for some future high and are never quite at peace with what is. And what happens when you promise future never arrives? Well, how do you feel? I could put it this way. How do you feel if you rarely achieve your dreams? You look around and see success of others and you begin to feel like a loser. And to cope with that unhappiness, your mind devises another strategy to feel somewhat better. You are a victim. Life has not been fair to you, which creates another unhappy narrative in your mind. And now you have the right to be unhappy because others did you wrong or stuff happened to you that no one else has experienced. You say, for example, people are against me. I get no breaks. No one has gone through what I have. No one has suffered like me. No one has been portrayed to the degree that I have. You see, all this inner dialogue feeds this inner unhappiness and justifies it. We become identified with the various stories that our mind has created, perpetuating our suffering. The very thing that we seek to escape is what follows us, because our worth and value are tied to a mental idea of who we are. A mental concept that is always challenged by the reality we experience. A reality that seemingly always suggests that we are simply not enough, further fueling our insecurity about who we are. Now, this may not all make sense right now, but just stay with me. You see, there is a better way to live, my friend. It's to awaken to who you are. Your deepest and truest self that is always present in the now, at peace with life as is. It's not resisting what is. It's not using the present moment as some stepping stone for future happiness. Sure, you will have goals. Sure, you will have dreams. Sure, you will have things to pursue, but your happiness is not dependent upon achieving those goals. You're simply at peace at all times because you have awakened to your core essence, your true self. Now, I really look forward to sharing more with you at Live Your True Self. I know it's going to be a great benefit to you because you will learn in more detail about some of the things that I've shared here, and not just the details about what I share here, but also you will provide strategies on how to really live this kind of life, how to live your true self, and how to live in a life that is happy, content, and filled with peace, healthy relationships, and success. We'll see you on June 21st in Escondido.